Hello everyone. Today in this PPT we will be discussing about the topic signal conditioning, data acquisition and data presentation. It is unit 3 from mechatronics. It is for electrical and electronics students of 6th sem. So let's begin with the contents. So contents, first we will be seeing of general measurement system and components, then signal conditioning and its necessary, then process adopted in signal conditioning and functions, then DC and AC signal conditioning systems, then data acquisition, then analog to digital conversion, then design principles, then digital to analog conversions, then data presentation or this display, then electrical indicating instruments, then recorders, then printers, then display systems. Okay, first one, general measurement system components. We will be seeing what are the components. That is the transducer, signal conditioner and data presentation unit. Okay, the first stage of the instrumentation or measurement system which will detect your input is termed as the detector or the transducer stage. Okay, the output of the first stage it needs to be processed or modified, so it will be done by using what the signal conditioner. Okay, the next one, the last stage of the measurement system, it may be consisting of what, after processing the data it will be given to your display unit, means it will record as well as it will display. So the last stage of the measurement system, it may consisting of indicating, recording, displaying, data processing elements. Okay, so this will be nothing but your general measurement system components. The next one is signal conditioning and its necessary. So signal conditioning, what it is defined as the process of modifying the output signals of the transducer into usable and satisfactory signal using amplification, attenuation, non-linearization, linearization or multiplication by another function. Okay, so this signal conditioning is nothing but modifying the what output signals from the transducer. Whatever the transducer will give, that it will be modifying it. The next, the necessity. What is the necessity? Signal may be noise. There will be noise when it will be we get from the transducer. So due to electromagnetic interference, we have to remove that. That's why it is necessary. Then signal, it may be too small. It will be of usually millivolt. So amplification for that purpose. The next, signal may be non-linear and required to be converted into digital form. Then signal may be in analog one, so it has to be converted to digital. Then signal may be digital one and need to be converted into analog, A bar D or D bar A. The next one, it may be required to improve the quality of the digital signal. For this purpose, the signal conditioning is necessary. The next one is process adopted in signal conditioning, means how this signal conditioning is done. Okay, so here the first one, it is done by protection. That is, the range of the output signal from the transducer may be so high that it may damage the next unit or element which needs to be protected. So this protection is required. For example, if a high voltage current signals are fed to the microprocessor, it will get damaged. So to make it prevent for getting damaging this microprocessor, we are using this protection. Okay, the next one is getting right type of signal. So the output signal of the transducer is analog type, so it has to be needed to convert into digital. So this thing we will be converting it by using this signal conditioning. The next one, getting correct level of signals. The level of the output signal may be too small or it may be too high, so we should amplify that if it is too small. Okay, so for example, it is for amplification operation, amplifiers are widely used. The next one, elimination of interference. So if there are any noise, we have to remove that noise, so that it will be done. The next, manipulation of signals. The output signal may be non-linear in nature, so this needs to be linearized, so we have to modify it. Then next one is functions of signal conditioning equipment. So what are the functions? It will do amplification, then it will do modification, then it will do impedance matching, then it will do data processing and data transmission. So what it is? Amplification. So the if the input is of very small, it will be amplified. Okay, so that is done by the amplification. Then next one, modification or modulation, means it will be it means to change the form of the signal. It will change the form of the signal, modification. Then impedance matching, the signal conditioning equipment arranges the input and output impedance of the matching device so as to prevent loading of the transducer. The next one, data processing, to carry out mathematical operation. Okay, that is it will be doing addition, subtraction, differentiation, integration, etc. The next one, data transmission, means from one location to another it will be doing that to transmit the data, that is data transmission. The next one, DC signal conditioning, means so the data transmission. The next will be seeing DC and AC signal conditioning system. So first one, DC signal conditioning system. The resistance transducer like strain gauges constitute one or more than one arm of Wheatstone bridge, which is excited by the isolated DC source. So the bridge can be balanced by a potentiometer and can also be calibrated for unbalanced condition. So what are the characteristics of this DC amplifier? It should have extremely good thermal and long-term stability. Then it may require balanced differential inputs, CMRR. Okay. Then next, what are the advantages? DC amplifier is easy to calibrate at low frequency. Okay. Then next, what we can do, this advantage is the DC amplifier is followed by a low pass filter. Okay, which eliminates high frequency components. So this DC so your DC amplifier figure below shows the problems which are encountered in the DC system. Okay, so here you can see over there that this DC system are overcome through the carrier type AC signal conditioning system. So first figure, that is your DC system. So there whatever the problem was coming, to overcome that problem, you can see in figure B we have overcome by what? By using the carrier oscillator, that is from the bridge reference we will be taking. Okay, so by this we will be overcoming it, you can see in the diagram. The next one, AC signal amp. So here you can see in the diagram, that is the transducer parameter variation. So in that AC signal conditioning system, so in this AC signal conditioning system, how we will be overcoming, that we will be seeing. First one, it was DC, the next figure B is your AC. So here the transducer parameter variation amplitude and modulate the carrier frequency at a ridge output, and the waveform is amplified and demodulated. The demodulation is phase sensitive to show the polarity of DC output. In the carrier system, it is very easy to obtain high rejection of main frequency pickup. So active filters can be used to reject the frequency. The carrier frequency components of data signal are filtered out by the phase sensitive demodulators. Okay. The next one, we will be seeing about the data acquisition. So data acquisition, how it is done. So here in this, nowadays in mechatronic and measurement system, microprocessors, microcontrollers, single board computers and personal computers, they are being widely used. Okay, so it is increasingly important for engineers to understand how to directly access the information and analog data from surrounding environment. So to consider a signal from a sensor, what we will be doing, you can see in the diagram, that is the analog signal. So how we will be considering, firstly, one could record the signal with an analog device such as chart recorder. Okay, and then secondly, the plots may be, the data may be stored then by using a microprocessor or computer. This process is called computer data acquisition. Okay, then next, what are the following merits? Can result in greater data accuracy, provides more compact storage of the data, then enables data processing for long after the occurrence of the events, then allows use of the data in real-time control system. Okay, So this it will be done. So you can see over there analog signal and the digitized points. We will be marking the points and we will be forming the digital signal. Okay. So here, in order to input analog data to a digital circuit or microprocessor, the analog data must be transformed into digital values first. Then next, the numerical evaluate the signal at discrete instant interval. Means we have to make the points, that is discrete points. Then this process is called as sampling, and the result is digitized signal. After that, marking the point discrete signal, it is called as the sampling. Okay. So here, so you can, this is nothing but your digital signal that is composed of discrete values corresponding to each sample. The next one we will be seeing data acquisition system. Okay. So here in data acquisition, it is the process of using output signals and inputting that into a computer. So that output signal from the transducer that we will be inputting into the computer, that is data acquisition system. The output signal may be one that originates from the direct measurement of the electric quantities such as voltage, frequency, resistance, etc. So inputs that it can be. Then next, data acquisition system, there are two types. First one, analog data acquisition system. Second one is digital data acquisition system. So first you can see over there the figure, that is nothing but your analog data acquisition system. So this system, it consists of sensor, then transducer, then sensor transducer, that is nothing but your first part. Then next one, the output of which it is connected to a DAC board through signal conditioning unit. So first sensor output, that it will be given to signal conditioning. After conditioning the signal, it is given to the DAC, that is digital to analog. Okay. Then next, the DAC board is plugged into the computer. Then the DAC board consists of multiplexer, amplifiers, ADC resistor and control circuitry. The output of the control circuitry is connected to the computer system. Okay. A software is employed to control the acquisition of the data through DAC. So there will be one software in that. When the program requires input from the particular sensor, then it will activate the DAC board by sending control word to the control and status register. The control word indicates that the type of operation it has to be carried and give it output. Okay. So automated data acquisition system may be of the following forms. It may be data loggers or computer with plug-in boards. Okay. After processing it, it will be given to the output device. The next one, we'll be seeing about the data loggers. So what is this data logger? A data logger can monitor the inputs from a large number of sensors. So data loggers are nothing but they will be monitoring the inputs from, there will be not only one sensor, there will be many sensors. Okay, it will be monitoring those. So what are its characteristics? Easy to use, high operating efficiency, higher accuracy can be achieved, and good reliability and linearity. Where it is applied, where it can be used: power generation plants, then petrochemical industries, in oil refineries and industries. Okay. The next, computer with plug-in boards we will be seeing. So here you can see the diagram, that is computer with plug-in boards. So this is nothing but what the conditioning it is prior to the inputs to the board depends. So here examples we can use here, the inputs: thermocouples, amplification, cold junction, compensation and linearization. The next, string gauges, which stone bridge, voltage supply for bridge, linearization, RTDs, current supply circuitry and linearization. So these all it will be. So this signal conditioning will be done and given to the board. Okay, to your computer, that is data acquisition system. Then analog to digital conversion. So analog to digital conversion, what we will be doing, we will converting all the analog data into the digital data. So the process changes a sampled analog voltage into digital form. Okay, this process involves the following two steps. What it will be having: quantization and coding. Okay, first the input is given to sample and hold, then next analog to digital converter, that it will be coded into the digital. Okay, so here you can see in the waveforms, first the analog signal, then sampling of the pulses will be done, then we will get the sampled signal. After the sample signal you will get sample and heard signals. Okay, so that we will get the digital output. Then next one we will be seeing about the analog to digital. Okay, so here the analog to digital conversion, quantizing encode, that is done, then process of conversion that we have seen. Then next one, so what it will be based on, this analog to digital converters are designed based on a number of different principles, which are those: successive approximation is used, flash and parallel encoding is used, single slope and dual slope integration is used, and switch capacitor and delta sigma is being used. Okay, so then next first one we will be seeing about the what successive approximation A bar D converter. So here it is this successive approximation A bar D converter, it is nothing but it is a fast in operation, it has high resolution, and it is less expensive. Okay, so the various subsystems of the successive approximation A bar D converter you can see in the diagram. Okay, so here the clock, first there you can see over there one clock is there. Okay, in the diagram you can see so the clock generates a voltage emitting a regular sequence of pulses which are counted in binary manner, and the resulting binary word is converted into an analog voltage by a digital to analog converter. This voltage rises in steps and is compared with the analog input. Okay, then when the clock generated voltage passes the input analog voltage, the pulses from the clocks are stopped and being counted by the gate. Okay, so there will be a gate that it will be counting, that will be closed and it will be counting. Okay, the output from the counter at the time is then a digital representation of analog voltage. So it is nothing but a digital representation. You can see over the counter, that is 4-bit storage register, it is giving you 1000, then next it will be counting next, so it will be giving nothing but your digital representation of the analog voltage. So this it is showing you binary data. Okay, that is successive approximation A bar D converter. Then next one is what we will be seeing, digital to analog converters. So here it is the process of what changing the digital value to the analog value. Okay, the input of the digital to analog converter is binary. So input is binary, that is digital, the output is an analog signal that represents the weighted sum of the non-zero bits represented by the word. Okay, so here how this successive this R to R, that is you can see over there weighted register digital to analog conversion it is. So it is called as then R to R ladder. How it will be working, this R to R ladder? First, here in R to R ladder network is more commonly it is used. This version overcomes the problem of obtaining accurate resistance over a wide range of values, only two values being required. The output voltage is generated by switching section of the ladder to either reference voltage, that is V reference, you can see over there. Okay, so V reference, or it is called as the 0 volt, according to whether there is a 1 or 0 in the digital input. Okay, so according to that it will be giving the output. So here you can see the reference voltage V reference is connected to the resistor by means of an electronic switch. So this D0, D1, D2, D3, they are nothing but electronic switches. Okay, so which respond to binary 1. Okay, the values of the input resistance depends on the bit in the word a switch is responding to. The value of the register of successive bits from the LSB being half. Hence, the sum of the voltage is a weighted sum of the digits in the word. Such a system is referred to as weighted resistor network. So this it is called as the weighted resistor network. The limitation of the weighted resistor network is the accurate resistance have to be used. Okay. Then accordingly, either if it is 0, then this switch will be open and no output will be there. Okay, and when it is 1, what will happen? It will be, the switch will be closed and V reference voltage will come and you will get the output. Okay, so like that it will be working. And next one, data presentation. So the last stage of the measurement system is the data presentation stage. Okay, it is the result of the systems are meaningful, means it will be your data, it will be processed and the output it will be displayed. That is nothing but your data presentation. Okay, so data presentation device may be called as the output device. So the output device, they are categorized as follows: single number output devices and time domain output devices. So in single number output devices, these devices, they will be indicate the value of some particular quantity under condition such that the value to be measured can be regarded as time variant over the time interval during the measurements are made. The next, indicating instruments. For example, this may be indicating instrument and digital display units belong to this class. Okay, the next one, time domain output devices. So in this, okay, this time domain output devices, these are nothing but the indicating instrument or digital display units. Okay, so here suitable only when the output varies at very slow rate. So here they do not serve the purpose when the value of the quantity are to be taken as a function of time. Okay, for fast changing outputs, it will be cathode ray oscilloscope. Okay, for keeping permanent record of the variation of the output time, cathode ray tubes, photographs, direct writing records, strip chart records and magnetic tape records are used. Okay, so next one, this electrical indicating instrument, that is analog instruments and digital instruments, that comparison we will be seeing over here. Okay, so here you can see in analog type, as the position of the pointer against a calibrated scale or dial. Here digital it will be number directly it will be shown. Okay, then errors in analog there exist, in digital the errors will be, they do not exist. Okay, so the next, accuracy in analog it is 0.25% plus or minus. Here it is plus or minus 0.005% or better. Okay, then resolution 1 in several hundreds. Here it will be 1 part in several hundred thousands. Okay, then presence of any moving parts are there. In analog, moving parts are involved. Here this instrument can be made without any moving parts. Then how they are constructed: simple in construction, they are direct reading type and can perform under favorable conditions. Okay, and here, since these instruments involve electronic, proper environmental conditions are required over here. Okay, then next one, rate of change of parameter, that is these instruments enable the operator to judge the rate of change of parameter. A change of digital reading does not give any knowledge of the rate of change of parameter. Then time required, if exact reading is required, operator takes more time. Okay, here reading of the digital meter is very fast. Then auxiliary power requirement, this instrument they do not require any power. Okay, analog, but whereas digital they require an auxiliary power. Then examples, then next one, this analog they can be portable, and here usually stationary type in digital. Then examples, that is micrometer, platform scale in analog, then manometers, then mercury in glass field system, then speedometer of automobile, here common voltmeter and ammeter, etc. In digital it will be here digital output, that it will be digital ammeters and voltmeters, electronic and mechanical counters, odometer, yes no light and light on a scoreboard, etc. This will be the differences between analog and digital type instrumentation. The next one, recorders. So what is the recorder? A recorder, what it will do, it will record the electrical and non-electrical quantity as function of time. Okay, it preserves the details of the measurement of particular time. Then it will provide at a glance to overall picture. Then it provides immediate reflection on the action taken by the operator. So there are two types of recorders: analog recorder. In analog recorder, which are those? graphic recorders, oscillographic recorders, and magnetic tape recorders. In graphic recorders there will be what? Strip chart recorder, galvanometer type, potentiometer, null type, bridge recorders, LVDT recorders. Okay. Then next one, second one is digital recorders. So here what the digital recorder, second one type is digital recorder. Now next we will be seeing strip chart recorders. Okay, that is analog type. So you can see over there the diagram of strip chart recorder. Okay, so here how it will be working. A strip chart consists of the following: a long wall of graph paper. You can see over there one graph paper is there. Okay, a system to drive the graph paper, means it has to move the graph paper. A stylus of making paper on moving graph paper. So these most recorders use a pointer attached. Okay, then a stylus driving system, means that pointer driving system will be there. Okay, means that pen, whatever it will be marking. So this it will be moving, used, but in most of the recorders a synchronous motor is used over here. So as it will move, the stylus, whatever the readings it will be there, the stylus will move according to that their waveform will be drawn on your graph. Okay, so like that it will be working. The next one is XY recorder. So here a XY recorder is an instrument which gives a graphic record analog the two axis with the writing paper remaining stationary. So here the writing paper will be stationary. There are two amplifier units. One amplifier actuates the pen in Y direction as the input signal of the relationship between two variables. This system has a pen which can be position is applied when the second amplifier actuates the pen in X direction. The movement of the pen in X and Y direction are automatically controlled by the motor. Okay, so here for example it is plotting of stress strain curves. Then next one, pressure volume diagrams, IC engines, then pressure flow studies for lungs, lift drag wind tunnel test, then speed torque characteristics of motor, then regulation curves of power supplies, then plotting of characteristics of vacuum tubes. Okay, then next one, ultraviolet UV recorders. So these recorders are basically electromechanical oscillographic recorders. Okay, so an ultraviolet recorder consists of number of galvanometer and elements mounted in a single magnet blocks. Okay, so you can see the diagram over there. So how it will be working? So when the current is passed through a moving galvanometer coil, then what will happen? It deflects under the influence of magnetic field. Okay, so you can see the mirrors are there, it will get deflected, that light beam. Okay, the ultraviolet light falling on the mirror is deflected and projected on the UV light sensitive paper. So up you can see over there, here UV light sensitive paper is there. Here you can see the roller type, it is there, no, down. So that one. Okay, this paper is driven past the moving high spot and thus a trace of variation of current with respect to time is produced. Okay, the recorder in addition to the input may have the following addition traces: grid lines, timing lines, and trace identification. Okay, so the typical application of UV recorders are what? Regulation transients of generators, then output of the transducer, then control system performance. The next one we will be seeing magnetic tape recorders. These recorders will be having the response characteristics which enable them to be used at higher frequency. Okay, they are used at higher frequency. So here this, hence they find an extensive use in instrumentation system. A magnetic tape recorder consists of the following basic components. What are those? Recording head, magnetic tape, reproducing head, type of transport mechanism, and conditioning devices. What are the advantages? They have low distortion, wide frequency range they have in the several megahertz, in the range of several megahertz, then wide dynamic range which exceeds 50 dB. So the recorded signal is immediately available with no time lost in that. Okay, the next one we will be seeing cathode ray oscilloscope. So this cathode ray oscilloscope, it is an instrument which is presents signal waveforms visually. You can see the waveforms by your eyes. Okay, it will be displayed. It is also useful for comparing two signals in phase, frequency, or amplitude. A CRO They will operate up to 50 megahertz and can allow viewing of the signal within a time span of few nanoseconds, and can provide a number of waveform displays simultaneously on the screen. Okay, the block diagram of the CRO you can see over there down. Okay, so what all it will be there: a sawtooth oscillator, then power supply, vertical amplifier, horizontal amplifier. Why this it is? Because to amplify and move this what vertical deflection plates, okay, and horizontal deflection plate. By that the waveform will be drawn in either horizontal and vertical direction. Okay, on the cathode ray tube, it has to on the cathode ray tube it has to activate the electrons, so vertically and horizontally that it will be done by that. Okay, the next one, the dot matrix printer that we will be seeing. So the dot matrix printer, it has a head mechanism of dot matrix printer. It consists of either 9 or 24 pins in a vertical line. Each pin is controlled by an electromagnet, which when turned on propels the pin onto the inking ribbon. This transfers a small bob of ink onto the paper behind the ribbon. A character is formed by moving the print head in horizontal lines and back and forth across the paper and firing the appropriate pins. Okay, so character, how it will be? It will be firing the this thing, what, print head. It will be firing on that paper, okay, continuously. Then next one is what, inkjet printer. So inkjet printer, what it will do, it will spray the ink on the paper. So this type of printer uses a conductive ink which is forced through a small nozzle. So what it will do, it will produce a jet of very small droplets of ink and constant diameter of constant frequency. So it will spray the ink on that. Okay, in one form of constant stream of ink passes through a tube and is pulsed to form fine drops by a piezoelectric crystal which vibrates at a frequency about 100 kilohertz. Okay, in another form is used a small heater. So after spraying the ink there will be a heater, so in the print head with vaporized ink, so means to dry the ink, so there will be a heater, so producing gas bubbles which push out ink droplets. Okay, the next one, the laser printer. So in the laser printer, you can see the diagram over here. It has a photosensitive drum. Okay, that drum will be there, which is coated with the cesium based light sensitive material. The cesium in the dark has a high resistance and constantly becomes charged as it passes close to the charging wire. This is a wire at a high voltage and off with charge leaks. Okay, the light beam is made to scan through a length of drum by a small rotating 8-sided mirror. When the light strikes the selenium, its resistance drops and it can no longer remain charged. By controlling the brightness of the beam of the light, so points of the drum can be discharged or left charged. So here, how it will be done? As the drum passes to the toner, first whatever the printing has to be done, it will be on the drum. The drum will be charged, and what, the laser, through the laser on the drum it will be written. Okay, so that drum then it will be passes the toner reservoir. The charged areas, whatever the charged areas are there, no, whatever has been written on the drum, so those are charged areas. That charged areas attract the particles of the toner which thus stick on the areas. Okay, the paper is given a charge as it passes another charging wire. Then what it will be there, a hot fusing roller then used to melt the toner particles. So it will be passing through the toner, they finally adhere to the paper. So then what, the hot rolling, it will melt and then it will be passed through the roller and the paper, it will be pasted on the paper. Okay, like that it will be done. So laser printer. The next one, display systems. So several display systems use light indicators to indicate on-off status or give alphanumeric displays. Some of the display systems are light indicators, LED displays, a 5x7 dot matrix LED, liquid crystal displays. Okay, the first one, that is light indicators. So here the light indicators, what it will be, maybe a neon lamps, incandescent lamps, light emitting diodes or liquid crystal diodes. Okay, So the neon lamps need high voltages and low currents, can be powered directly from the main voltage. Incandescent lamp can be used with a wide range of voltage but need comparatively high current. They emit white light to use lenses to generate any required color. Okay. Then LEDs require very low voltage and low currents and are cheap. These diodes, when forward biased, they emit light. Okay. The most commonly used LEDs can give are nothing but red, yellow or green colors. With microprocessor based system, LEDs are most common for the indicators. The next one, LED displays. So here, when a LED, a current emitting diode, that is then current limiting resistor is generally required in order to limit the current, so that LED does not require more amount of current. Okay. So to below the maximum rated current is about 10 to 30 milliamp. Some LEDs are supplied with built-in resistors. Okay. LEDs are available as single light display and 7 and 16 segments. The next one, a 5 by 7 dot matrix LED display. So in this type of display, the array of consists of 5 column connectors, each connecting the anodes of the 7 LEDs. Each row connects to the cathode of the 5 LEDs. To turn on a particular LED, power is applied to its column and its row is grounded. Okay. The next one, liquid crystal display. Such displays are used in battery operated devices such as watches, calculators. 5 by 7 dot matrix forms are also available. Okay. So these are nothing but your liquid that is LCD displays. Okay. In your watches, calculators and all, they are being used. Okay. So by this we are completing the third unit. Thank you.